Grease him now. Okay. You are a vicious bastard, retaliate. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did.
I would wait till he comes back, but I don't know how long he's going to be, so I'm just going to get right into it. So today
for it.
we're discussing Batman 89, as if anybody couldn't already figure that out. Directed by Tim Burton, starring Michael Keaton, Kim Basinger, and Jack Nicholson. I want to say that Danny Elfman is absolutely a character in this movie. There's no way that I'm talking about this movie or Returns without mentioning Danny Elfman at least 15 times, because the score that he lays throughout both of these movies is fantastic. I prefer a lot of the work that he does in Returns better than this movie, though, but still, it's still there. Like, the foundation of everything that he did is fantastic. The other thing that I wanted to talk about for just a minute was this movie, in my mind, maybe I'm wrong, it changed cinema. And what I mean by that is everything that came out before this feels so dated. You feel its age. Everything like Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Jaws, and insert whatever horror movie franchise that you want in there. Like, this movie changed what the blockbuster could potentially be. So much so that the bones of Batman 89 is in almost every superhero movie that we see today. And it's absolutely ridiculous that this was able to kind of start that kind of thing. And that's where I'll start, and I'll throw it to everybody else. How do you feel about that?
I'll go last.
Of course you will. So how do I feel about Batman 89? Honestly, Batman 89... so I'll say this. I know I'm going to jump around. I know we're talking about a couple of things, and we'll go around through it. But I remember watching Batman Returns with you years ago, Will. Like, we were kids. It was like the only... like the first time I visited you, we're like, let's watch Batman Returns. We were
I
like
think we watched
7 or
two
8
movies
years
that
old.
day. We watched Batman Returns, and we watched Beavis and Butthead Do America. I remember this day.
I definitely remember watching Beavis and Butthead. I didn't realize that was the same day. But I do remember
was the
watching
same day.
both those movies at your house. Was that the only time I visited you then?
When we were that young, probably.
Yeah, we were like eight
We
or
were like
9
8.
years old. Yeah. So that, I mean, I'll never forget that. I don't remember when I first watched Batman 89. But I remember I've always remembered it, you know, and that's what I knew Jack Nicholson from. And then I saw other things from Jack Nicholson after that. But this movie was it's hard to say for me. So for me as a kid, Batman Returns had a lot more like funny, ridiculous things, and yeah, I mean, I thought it was, you know, Danny DeVito was like grotesque and ridiculous.
Yes.
And for some reason I was drawn to all that, you know, like could be worse. You know, that I quote that like once a week. But things like that, like
The thing about Returns, in the way that is different from this movie, is Returns has that Edward Scissorhands stink on it.
big time. Big
Yes,
time. It's like
very
it
much
was like
so.
Tim Burton was just like, I'm doing
They are
everything I
two
want.
completely different movies aesthetically.
Yes. But Batman 89, it has this classicness to it. I mean, it's the best way to put it, that you can tell is like, this is the beginning of something huge. And I've always appreciated that, because without that, we wouldn't get everything else. There's so many great parts in this movie that, you know, I remember when I asked Ricky if he'd be a part of this, I was like, that night I was watching the movie, and all we had is, you know, Joker sitting there with a beret on his head or whatever, sitting there, I was like, honey, you'll never believe what happened to me tonight. And I sent him the picture, and that was the first thing he said. And it's like, we know this movie and all the dumb quotes, and you can watch this movie 20 years later and still remember all those stupid little lines that would otherwise be irrelevant because they're not a big deal, but it's just because Jack Nicholson said it in this makeup, it stands out, you know, and nobody could have played it the way that they did here. What I also, when I think of this movie, I remember, so when I was in school, when I was going to college, I did, I forgot what they called this specific project, but it was they wanted us to do this insert, they called it an insert, which was basically take a scene from a movie.
Oh, I
and-
remember you did that.
Yeah, and insert yourself as one of the characters. So it's very good if it's like an interrogation scene, like one person's on one side of the desk and one person's on the other. And I'm like, I could probably do better than that. So I wore this Batman cowl that I've got here, and the full costume that I had, which was some cheap Dark Knight thing, but it was black and it had a cape and it looked Batman enough where this made the whole thing make sense. Shot it in an attic with Kenny. Remember Ken? Shot it in his attic with a few other friends. We had filters and a fog machine, this and that, to basically put me in the final fight scene, in the attic or in the bell tower scene of this movie. And I shot it. I thought the lighting was garbage. The coloring didn't make sense. I was using Windows Movie Maker, which was free back in the day, because school didn't teach you anything. And I shot this thing, and I gave it to the teacher, and he goes, "You sent me 2 copies of the original." And I'm like, "No, I didn't." I'm like, "Here, I'll send it again." And he goes, "You keep sending me 2 copies of the original. If you don't send me your project, I have to fail it." And I'm like, I don't know what else to do. I'm like, "I'm sending you the original, and I'm sending you mine." He's like, "We'll talk about it tomorrow." So I showed it to him. He didn't realize that I was playing Batman, like Michael Keaton's Batman, in the scene where it's them like, "You killed my parents. Oh, you gotta say you killed me. I killed you, or I made you, and you made me, and whatever." Like, that was me dressed up doing the whole Michael Keaton thing, just doing a voiceover dub thing. And so this movie, every time I see that scene, all I think of is the hours I spent trying to recreate that scene like 10, 12 years ago. So when I'm thinking about how could I take an iconic scene from a movie and use it for a project, first thing I thought of was Batman '89, because it's been around for so long. It's been something I've loved forever, and I just happen to have the cowl. So I love this movie. I don't find many issues with it besides continuity errors, which anybody would find. Like, hey, didn't he cover that painting in red hands, and suddenly it's not, and then suddenly it is, and then it's not again. Things like that.
But with today's technology, couldn't they just fix that?
Yeah, they could, but they didn't. So here we are talking about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this movie. I don't think anything's wrong with it besides the dumb little continuity areas. I think that Jack Nicholson played this as well as he would play any serious role. Like, he came into it playing a goofy character, but he took it seriously. And that's what's great about it. They wanted to take something that was the pow, zap, zam, whatever, and get rid of that stigma that is Batman, because it was for the last 30 years, and make it something serious and finally get into the darkness that was Batman, that Batman was supposed to be when he was created. So I love this movie. It finally
The movie's
made a
actually really
superhero
good
movie.
at that, because it starts off really bam,
Oh,
zap,
yeah.
and it further, and the further you get into the movie, that completely drops. Like, it almost fades away, and you almost kind of forget that, oh yeah, this was a comic at one point.
Right,
Because
right.
that whole
Exactly.
exterior of the pow, zap, bam, it all kind of just fades into the background, and it's so fluid. It's
Absolutely.
fantastic the way that it happens, especially with a character like Joker, who is
Oh, yeah.
incredibly goofy when he's first introduced and he shoots the guy, to the end when he's laughing like a madman next to the gargoyle. It's unbelievable character growth.
Yeah.
What are you laughing at? So good.
Do you prefer Rick or Ricky?
Either one's fine. Either one. It's
Ricky
good.
You can go. 'Cause
Ricky
I'm going
Kinnicky.
last.
What can I say? This is it's like a family member, really. It's just been with me my whole life, and it is my go-to still today and will be forever. I was very young as well. I was born 2 years before the movie came out. So
Me too.
yeah. So my my introduction to the film was my holy grail of all of my Batman collection, the VHS tape.
He still has it.
This is
So do
not the
I.
original. Actually, this is not the original one. My original didn't, for some reason, that went away. I just had this. This was what I had. But do you remember this? Do you remember watching this on TV, on VHS?
I have it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so, do you remember the Bugs Bunny commercial about the catalog and all that, and the Diet Coke commercial?
So I remember that Beetlejuice also had the Donald Duck. Oh no, sorry, Daffy Duck with the you can get a
Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers ball cap.
Yeah.
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 Both
So,
of them did.
I mean, like, that was my introduction. It was those commercials. Even to this day, if I'm in the grocery store and I'll see Diet Coke, I'm like, just for the taste of it, Diet Coke. You know what I mean? Like,
Love that joke.
yeah. Like, it's just, I've watched that movie so many times that's just it's just there. I don't know. It's just, so, it just set up the whole thing. And, I just remember that movie, and I've always was drawn to it. Even more so, we'll talk about it when we get to the next movie, but even more so than Batman Returns. Why? I mean, I think, Chuck, you said it as well. Danny Elfman, or was it Will? Will.
It was me.
Yeah, Danny Elfman. As soon as those commercials in the beginning of the movie, they stopped, and then you heard that score start, and all of a sudden the camera work is just, you're not sure what's happening. You see the credits as to the cast coming up, and you're like, where am I being taken to? Like, are we in an alley, or what is this? And then at the final reveal, when you see this bat symbol, you're a trace, it's like, whoa, this is epic.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
score was epic when it
Yes.
came out.
Well, Danny Elfman, wasn't he like, I don't know if this is going to work. Like, why would you ask me? And then they're like, I think it was whoever's producing at that point was like, do the march song,
Yeah.
And it's just like, and he did it, and everyone's like, whoa,
Yeah.
like, this is perfect.
And it was that, you're right. And it was at that moment, too, when I think it was John Peters, one of the producers, was on the phone, and he was saying, we're going to make a whole album just on the score based on that theme alone, which deservedly so. That was great. And it's just, it's timeless. It's a timeless movie to me. It doesn't feel dated to me because you've got a hodgepodge of eras in there. You've got costumes that may have come from the 40s.
Right.
Even though it is set in the late 80s, there is some 80s influence. You can see a lot of that, but it's just
The street gang going on in '89 is very like 1950s Godfather style gangster.
Yeah. And you see those like old 30s,
Yeah,
Rolls Royces at the end and all that. So it's I don't know what I could say about it because I love this movie,
Yeah.
The one thing that I'll say
I
about
love
this,
that. I was gonna say I love that they took the whole feel of this and brought it into the animated series.
Yes.
And that was it only 5 years, a 5-year run of the original animated series before they had Batman and Robin and then the New Adventures.
I believe it was.
I've got it on
I believe.
Blu-ray and it's fantastic. And I love that they had like the Danny Elfman score. They really brought the feel of this into it, where they have like the, the 50s, the 40s look of all the bad guys. But it's like where does Batman really take place? They keep jumping around with the aesthetics, and you don't really know where it actually takes place. Superman always looks like it's in the future. Like Metropolis is like not the future, but like maybe like 5-6 years from whatever present day is. It always looked like it was a little bit further, and Batman always kind of had that sense where it was a little bit behind.
Well, in Justice League, it's right across the river.
Yeah, well, okay. But I just, I love that they have that feel, and it's cool. I mean, Danny Elfman his focus has always been German expressionism, and he brought it into this film in a way that it's perfect. It's a perfect fit for what they were going for here. And I know, sorry, Chuck, I know you're gonna go in a second, but I know we're getting ready for the Flash, or Batman Triumphant, as I want to call it, or Batman
excited.
Continues, or whatever. But I feel I'm very wary because I don't like seeing Batman in the daylight. And everything I've seen so far, besides the cave scene,
Oh, I haven't seen anything, so don't say anything.
is Batman in the daylight.
Yeah.
And it's very strange to me. Like, I feel
So I'm
like
gonna
that
bring it-
takes away from the whole
I'm gonna-
tone that Keaton's Batman was.
I'm going to bring it back to what I was saying earlier about how this movie kind of changed cinema. One of the reasons why I say that is because if you watch the scenes in this movie, and especially in Returns, that are in the daylight, they feel very jarring. It's very disjointed. It doesn't feel like it belongs in the movie. they're very weird to look at.
When in Returns is he in the daylight?
So it's Christmas. They're out on the street. The sun is out. They're walking. Him and Selena. They're outside
but
the.
that's not him as Batman. That's him as Bruce
No,
Wayne.
it's
That's
not
very
him
different.
as Batman. What I'm saying, the aesthetic of daylight in these two
yeah,
movies
yeah.
is
Yeah, yeah.
not It doesn't feel normal. It doesn't feel like it belongs there. It feels off.
Okay,
That's what I was saying.
gotcha. I'm thinking Batman in the suit should not be in the daylight.
Well,
He's meant to be like a dark ninja. That's
sure.
Ninja Detective in a rubber suit.
Okay, Chuck, what are you gonna say? How are you?
Chuck's dying. Hold on.
busy right
Give him a moment. You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
So, hold on, I'm all twisted up here. If this movie wasn't Batman, this movie would be horrible. All right? There are so many issues with both of these movies. If they weren't 35 years of just nostalgia and classicness and, oh my gosh, we are just all geeking out and we're all nerds and we all just love comic books and I love the movies because they're Batman. If it wasn't for that, if these were any other movies, we would all hate these movies. Hands down. First point. So, I don't want to piss at anyone's Cheerios, but I'm
go
about
ahead.
to.
No, go ahead, dude.
Joker falls into a vat and gets white skin. Why? Why? I don't get it. He has to paint his face back on. Whatever. It is what it is. He falls into a vat and he becomes a Joker and his entire personality changes. He went
yes.
from
'Cause
he
he
went
went
from
nuts.
crazy evil mobster to
And then you can see his nuts. Or he's
right.
nuts.
To evil psychotic whatever he is as Joker in this film.
As
fight
opposed to Selena falling out of a window and turning into a cat.
I still don't get
that. It makes zero sense. It makes no sense.
Actually, it's a lot like that.
Mind you, I love the movies because they're Batman. Like I'm all about Batman, Superman.
But you have problems.
Overall, I like DC more than I like Marvel. Overall.
Yes, so do I.
But these two films, though, we're talking about 89 right now. We're talking about Return after. So we talked about this. Ben Affleck was great as Batman, but he was horrible as Bruce Wayne. To me, Michael Keaton was fantastic as Bruce Wayne. I could not stand him as Batman because he doesn't fight. He doesn't do anything.
He can't
What do you
turn
mean he
his
doesn't
head.
fight?
Of course he fought.
Hold on.
What do you mean he doesn't fight? He takes out the mob. He takes out the circus freaks. He straps a bomb
explosives.
on somebody. He's great. What are you
ex-
talking about? He doesn't fight.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
See that epic fight with him and the Asian guy, and
Yeah, he just kicked him.
Indiana Jones
you can
scene.
tell that Michael Keaton did not know any martial arts like anybody after him, like at all. On top of that, like every single
Batman
time,
Batman doesn't need to fight. He has toys.
hold on. What I love is when he's
Wonderful toys.
entering any bad scenario, how slow it takes him to get there. And the bad scenario just extends until he gets there. Because when he comes in as Batman, he's sorting out, he's being lowered on this cable and it's so slow. I'm watching it going, this is so slow.
You mean in the beginning?
Throughout
a
both
big
movies.
reveal, though.
Throughout
No,
both.
Yeah,
no.
it
Gotta-
was a big
he has
deal.
a
Throughout-
point here because there's a scene where he swings in to save Vicky Vale and he repels onto the wall and it's the slowest thing in the world when he's going to the door.
And they just watch him, and you're like,
They're just
that wall was
and
a
that's-
long way away.
and it's every single
just watch him.
time that I don't know if was it Returns or was it 89 I forget, 'cause I watched them both right in a row. When he puts his bat cape up, and it turns into the hard bat wings.
Oh,
with the
that's
curves.
Returns.
Yeah, that was Returns.
That's Returns.
We just
Where
watched
did
that
it?
before you came in.
Where did it come
We'll
from?
get there.
That's
I just
okay.
said that when you
Question.
walked in.
Like where? Like it just appears and then it disappears. It has the claws on the.
It was
like,
better than the squirrel suit.
I don't
driving into a bridge.
What I don't get is that here's the biggest thing is when you look at Batman and Batman Returns. I get that it's called Batman Returns because in '89 we saw Batman, and then what was it? 92.
92.
Yep.
Batman Returns to the theater. Okay, fantastic. Superman Returns comes in. That actually makes the title makes sense because at the end of Superman 4, it's alleged that he takes off for 5 years to Krypton, then he comes back to Earth.
Right.
Why?
This was a Batman '89 to Batman Returns.
It's like, where did he go?
Where did he go?
Well, I guess because Batman Continues, which was not used, sounded really lame.
Well,
Well,
How
they
much is
end.
Batman 2?
They hang on.
Right.
They end.
Well, that's what they're doing now.
Batman with the symbol. Hey, yeah, if you're ever in need and blah blah blah, we'll shine the symbol and you'll come a running, right?
He gave us
They
the signal.
didn't need him until Batman Returns.
well, I think and I hate to go into the Batman Returns part, but when he has the 4 people that are all circled around him with the Penguin, and he takes out his bat wing throwing, and he like plugs it
And the
in,
dog
and
gets
he's taking his time to plug it in, and everyone's just sitting there watching him.
Listen,
Like, the bad guys let him take his
You
time.
and I are having the exact same problem right now on Titans. How Dick Grayson is just pulling out all of Bruce's toys to get away with everything.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But if it
we
wasn't,
probably spent we probably spent a good 15 minutes ranting and raving about how he gets into Bruce's porch, opens up Bruce's tablet, uses Bruce's GPS to find
Right.
out where the people are, and it's like it's ridiculous. So yeah, you're right.
Well, he's been
Bruce
driving
has
Bruce's Porsche the entire time.
the entire time.
Oh yeah, until he,
he sells it.
And
And how does
he
Bruce
sells
not
it.
know? How does Bruce not know that he
Bruce
sells
doesn't care.
Bruce,
Probably not.
he doesn't care. He chipped Dick Grayson.
Yeah,
He
so of
didn't-
course he
he
knows what he's
chips
doing
them.
and where he is. He would stop him.
He's got Wayne Tech in that car.
Uh-huh. And if he wanted to, he would have stopped him
The point
by
is
just
the
locking
point
the car
is,
down.
The point that I'm trying to make is we spend a lot of time complaining about Bruce's tech. I'm not gonna complain about the boomerang that the dog grabs. It's,
No, the
know,
boomerang
it's
I'm not
kinda
worried about. The boomerang itself I'm not worried about, and the dog grabbing it. What I'm worried about, what's funny, is you see him in front of the 4 bad guys, plugging in the coordinates for all 4 bad guys, and they're all standing there watching him.
Let's talk about that in the next conversation.
Okay, so so we'll start in '89 then. We'll go into '89.
Very good.
So again, don't get me wrong. I love these movies for what they are. They are. I will never not want to watch. If somebody says, "Hey, let's go watch Batman," I would never say no, because it's like Superman 4. I like Superman 4.
I do too.
It's
I thought I was the only one that loved Superman 4.
it's horrible,
It is.
Superman.
but it's fantastic.
it's so bad.
And I'm a Superman. It's so bad. But this movie,
Lacey is hanging on for dear life in space.
But then it gets better. Superman pushes the moon in front of the sun, creating an
creates an eclipse.
Creating an eclipse.
He would have created a lot more than just an eclipse.
Well, I get that. It would have like thrown off the entire like
yes.
ecosystem of the
Oh,
Earth.
absolutely.
But it gets
Veil
better.
Bruce Almighty.
Hold on. It
everywhere.
gets better. It gets better. Nuclear Man now shuts down.
Yep.
She's now hanging on for dear life
Yes.
Uh-huh.
in space.
In space.
There's no gravity.
Nope. Nope.
She's like dangling from his hand.
Uh-huh.
Like she's gonna fall somewhere.
Right.
She's
Uh-huh.
in space.
She's still breathing
In space.
in space.
how is she?
We actually
it's
we did a
fantastic.
podcast on Superman 4. It's the funniest thing in the world. I
We've
listen
done a
to it
podcast
often.
on Superman 2, 3, and 4.
No,
But
we
not
haven't
one.
done 2 yet.
No. Oh, you're right. 2 is the one.
We've
You
done
guys
three,
did 3, and I missed
And we've
it.
done
I wish I
four.
did
The
3.
2 of us did 3, and the 3 of us did 4.
Yeah. Yep.
We have to do 2 and 1 at some point, but
We do.
But what do
Yeah.
we do? Do we do theatrical or do we do Donner?
Donner.
Or
both.
I want to make my own Dickerson cut.
But this,
It would be so much better.
The conversation around Superman 2 is going to be worth it just to talk about that cellophane S that comes off of his chest.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
When he rebuilds the wall with his eyeballs.
No, that
Hey.
was 4.
That
was
was
four.
4. Oh, sorry.
he turns back time in 1 and 2.
He can kiss people to forget.
No,
He
just
can-
Lois
he can-
Lane.
He can,
Yeah.
but apparently she didn't forget. She just played dumb.
She remembered everything.
Yeah. Okay.
I remember everything.
Nope.
No, but overall though, this I Michael Keaton's great as Bruce Wayne. I think he was Alfred. He's my favorite Alfred.
Michael Goff is a man.
He's my favorite Alfred out
he
of
is.
every single Batman movie, TV show. This guy is.
Oh, you didn't like the one who talked like this, did you?
And mind Michael Caine, but you
My-
know, but
my co-
Michael
my
Gough-
co-
My
Cocaine.
cocaine.
My
You have to say
cocaine.
my cocaine.
my cocaine.
My cocaine.
Who was my favorite Scrooge, by the way?
He was amazing as Scrooge.
But that's a side note.
But as Alfred though.
Yeah.
Eh.
They think I'm weird for loving that movie.
What about the dude they used on Gotham as Alfred?
Oh, what's his face there?
Like,
Pertwee.
he was a fighter. Like
Dude,
the guy
he-
was.
Yeah.
Dude, his dad was Doctor Who.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a fun tip. Michael Gough, right? At his age, whatever age he was when he was playing Batman, is the same age that Michael Keaton is right now.
Yeah.
Was he Alfred in all
nuts.
4 movies?
Yeah.
Yes.
The
He
original.
was,
4 ones,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, because he was dying in the last one. He had the same disease, McGregor syndrome, that Victor Freeze's wife had, and they found the cure. You
Take
know,
two and call it in the
yeah, that
morning.
was that whole thing. I can't believe I remember that. Sorry.
Everybody
I
did
feel-
either.
I-
Good job, Lee.
No, so I don't.
sorry.
I don't want to like. You know, I know that you are like a diehard fan of this.
No, you know what? No, it's okay because this movie does have its issues as well. I mean,
Every movie does.
every movie does.
Every
Right.
movie
You know
has
what I'm
issues.
saying?
It's just that when we watch them, because we're blinded by the awesomeness, because we're like, okay,
we love it.
we love it. It's
yeah.
like, okay, if this, like that's why I was saying, if this wasn't Batman, we would rip this movie apart, top to bottom.
Oh, yeah.
from beginning
Sure,
to end.
Sure. I mean,
But
for
be-
me,
Listen,
at
if
this
you're gonna
point,
be the
right?
guy to rip the movie apart, be the guy to rip the movie apart. I have issues too. I don't love
Yeah.
everything that's in these
Yeah.
movies.
Same.
I don't.
so
There are
I mean,
problems.
But for nostalgia's sake and for classic and for this, I mean, Batman '89 out of all the Batman movies is definitely a cult classic in my
Yeah.
opinion.
So, for
Cult
example,
classic? It's a
for
classic.
example, one of the big
Both.
problems that I have with
wouldn't
this
call it a
movie
cult classic.
going into it is just how the entire first act is almost how is so on the nose that Bruce is Batman, but nobody's smart enough to pick it up. Everybody in Gotham is stupid. The commissioner is stupid. Vicky Vale is stupid. The reporter is stupid. Everybody's an idiot for not like hitting. Even Vicky Vale, when she's sleeping in bed and wakes up and looks at Bruce hanging upside down like the bat, it's like, what is
method actor.
happening? How he's not?
Hey everybody, Lee from Black and White Reviews here. Just wanted to take a moment to thank you for tuning in, checking out our conversation. If you like this discussion and you want to hear more about this specific subject or other things, check us out on our podcasting sites, whether it's Spotify, Apple Music, or Google Podcasts. We're up on pretty much all of them. So yeah, thanks again for popping by, and yeah, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks.